lead together, embrace change, enhance everyone's journey. The 3 core principles of SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate across North America, reinforce why we're proud to bring you SheEO Lead-In, the podcast featuring curated conversations with powerful women sharing their impactful wisdom. It's a self-knowledge, self-discovery, and self-preneurship audio storage vault created by and for women. SmartStop's presentation of SheEO Lead-In begins right now.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Leading-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today we're here with Dawn Hall Cunneen with Cunneen Booth and oh gosh. I do that when I start getting a little tired. I woke up this morning at 4:30 for some weird reason. I have no idea why.
That happens a lot to me.
Yeah. Today we're here with Dawn Hall Cunneen with Cunneen Booth LLP. How are you today?
Great, thank you.
Good. I'm so excited to hear about what you do every day and a little bit about your career and how you got to where you are. Do you want to share a little bit with us about what you do?
Sure. I am a trust and estates attorney, and so I work with people to plan the transfer of their wealth when they die or when they're incapacitated. And then about half of our business is also trust and estates litigation when children are suing grandma or mom or dad or, over family money. And then I'm also the president of the North County Bar Association.
Oh, you just have a few things going on.
1 or 2, yes.
A lot of people don't really understand how important it is to have a trust. What happens if you don't have one? I think that's kind of the story of actually what people need to know.
Sure. So if you don't have a trust, then you will end up in probate. So people often think, well, I don't need to do anything and I won't end up in probate. Well, that's not the case. So if you're not here to sign over your assets to your heirs, we need a judge to do that for you. And so probate in San Diego County now is a 1 to 2 year process, and your assets are tied up. It's public. Everyone will know how much you spent at Nordstrom and exactly the balance in every bank account you have because it's all public record. So it's a time-consuming, expensive, and very public process. So it's definitely best to create a trust and keep the process private.
Well, and then your family doesn't have to go through all that pain and agony of 1 to 2 years of handling everything, too.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about you as a girl, Dawn.
Sure.
Do you have a fun childhood story that you could share with us that maybe people don't know about you?
Probably a couple. When I was 9 years old and other little girls were reading Laura Ingalls Wilder and other books like that, I started reading Perry Mason stories.
Really?
Yes. And so I loved reading Perry Mason. And that's going to date me, but Perry Mason was a popular television show and book series about an attorney. And I just loved reading how he solved all of his cases and just the reasoning behind it. And it was a lot of fun.
Is that what got you into your career?
I think so, quite frankly. I just thought the law was so interesting, and I love how linear things are and how logical they are. I'm not a drama person. I don't do well in drama, and I know some people are energized by drama, but for me, drama saps my energy. Yeah. So living in a world where you're focused on facts and law and reasoning and logic, it was very appealing to me from a really young age.
So when you were saying all of that, it brought a word into my mind. Do you have a word that you think describes you?
Oh gosh, probably just very methodical.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is. Well, just how you were describing the process of law and how that really makes sense to you and how it's linear, you had mentioned. Mm-hmm. I think that definitely fits you. So you've been practicing law for how many years?
A little over 30 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I was 12 when I started.
I was going to say, wow, you just really, so you never had another career then?
I did not.
Okay.
Well, for 1 year between college and law school, I worked in a marketing department for a surgical instruments company. So I had 1 year off between school, but I don't know that 1 year counts as a career.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. So let's talk a little bit about success and failure. How do you measure success?
That's a really interesting question, particularly in the legal field, which is so driven by accomplishment and achievement. And the people in the law firms are the top 1% or 1/10 of all their classes. So everyone really defines success so differently.
That's right.
But for me, what I wish I had learned younger was success has to be personally defined. And I was a partner in an AmLaw 100 firm, which is the top firms in the world, and I had a leadership role there. And one day I realized I was living someone else's dream. It wasn't my dream, and it was a great firm. And so I think so often as women, we don't think we can leave something good. We wait until it gets bad before we leave. And I realized I can leave something that's great, that I love, but it's just not my dream. Right. And so for me, success in that moment really crystallized on what it was, and it was autonomy, and it was freedom. And I used to think it was titles, the corner office with 2 walls of windows, which I got on the 30th floor overlooking the Coronado Bay Bridge. Wow. I thought it was a certain amount of money. And I realized it really wasn't for me because that's not who I am. Right. But those things were great. They were all good. Nothing was bad. But for me, it was autonomy and freedom, and that's why I love to start my own firm. And now I'd always joke with my husband, I'm officially unemployable. I could never go back and work for someone else. I love being an entrepreneur. I love charting the destiny of the firm, and I love being able to reward the people that work with me the way I would like to reward them, and it's just fantastic.
Well, working for yourself is definitely different than corporate America.
Very different.
So what made you say, you know what, I've got to do this, I'm going to take that leap?
It was actually my husband.
Interesting.
And he just said, he saw me doing all these things that checked all the right boxes and getting the right awards and the right recognitions. And I never was excited about it. I'm like, no, it's great. But I wasn't like genuinely like over
fulfilled.
The moon by it. And he just said to me, what do you want to do? And I said, I really just want to have my own firm. Well, that's crazy. Like, people are scratching and clawing to get into the AmLaw 100 firms, and I'm doing well. I love the firm. I love the people I work with. It just wasn't my dream. And so it sounded kind of crazy to leave. Once you have your hands on the Holy Grail, people usually don't say, I'll give it back. And so it was my husband.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting discussion. Let's explore that a little bit more, because when you think about, what the American dream is, having the big office, having all of these things, what we think, the perception of what the American dream is. But you're right, it's different for each one of us. And if you weren't fulfilled, that had to be tough, actually, even living that life, right?
It was and it wasn't, because it was good. It was a good life, and it was good for my family, but I wasn't excited about life. And in my field, I see people passing away all the time. And it really gave me a different perspective. And it's like, I need to be living a life that I'm excited about, that I can't sleep. I'm so excited that I, can't stop myself. I'm so excited because life is so short. And I don't know what as human beings, what are we all waiting for? It's like we're going through the motions so much in life that we don't stop and actually decide, how do I want to live?
Right.
We just keep going through if it's working, if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Well, that leads to a very mediocre life, right? Even if you have a lot of achievement and success, it is mediocre in how you feel and how you interact and how you perceive your life.
So did you have balance during that time, or do you have more balance now that you work for yourself?
I have far less balance now because I'm so excited about what I'm doing, because I'm building a future and I'm in acquisition mode. I want to buy other firms. I started a side consulting business where I go into law firms and look at their financials and help them become profitable. And my grandfather and father were business owners, and they drilled into my mind, it doesn't matter what you make, it matters what you keep. And so lawyers are not necessarily the best business people. They're not really spreadsheet people. We go to law school because we don't like numbers, but I love numbers. I love spreadsheets. So there's so many things I'm excited about doing. I don't have a lot of balance. I really don't, but I'm excited about it.
Well, as long as you're happy, I mean, that is a big part of it. So, talking a little bit about being a female in the law, I mean, there's more men, I think, far more men than women. So, have you run into any barriers in that way?
Yes. I think every woman working in a predominantly male-dominated field has encountered resistance, has encountered different treatment. And I had to learn from a young age to ignore it. And let it be the gnat buzzing around your head, and don't let it distract you from your mission and your goal. That's how they win. If they can distract you and they can discourage you, you won't achieve your potential.
Right.
If you stay focused and you just consider it's annoying, it's frustrating, I'm not here to change that person. I'm here to achieve this objective, and keep your eye on the objective.
On what you want to do and not what, I agree.
And don't get drug into the fight because it's counterproductive. And just keep your eye on what you want to do. Work hard, know your craft, study your craft, be the best at what you do, and let your good work silence all your critics, not your fighting with them. I saw a lot of women go down because they entered the fight and then their work suffered. And I just kept my eye on the work and what I needed to achieve, and that made a big difference.
Let your good work silence your critics. That is honestly one of the best sayings I've ever heard. I love that. You. Yeah, that is that's really good. Let's talk a little bit about mentors and people that have helped you along the way. Mm-hmm. Men, women, or just
all men.
Interesting.
It's very difficult. I'll be very upfront. It's very difficult for me to make female friends. My mind works like the male mind.
Interesting.
I remember one time we were at a dinner party and the women were in one room and the men were in another. They were talking with someone who actually worked for NASA and talking about space exploration. The women were talking about things, they were talking about interior decorating. And I ended up in the next room with the men. And so it's, how my mind works in a very different fashion. I relate more to men than women. And I think that's a common problem with female leaders, because I have friends who are CEOs or in the C-suite in some capacity, and we all say the same thing, all three of us, right? It's not a big group, but all three of us share the same issue, that when you have a high level of responsibility in a corporate environment, your mind is trained to think differently. And there's not a lot of women who have that experience. So it's the training of your mind that makes you different. And so my mentors have been all male. My favorite mentor was a judge who has now passed away, and I can honestly say I think of him every week, if not every day. He changed my life and my career with his advice. Just a wonderful man.
Well, that's highly impactful.
Very impactful.
Okay, let's pick back up on that in just a minute. We're going to take a smart stop and hear a little bit about our wonderful sponsor.
SmartStop knows the winning connection is when we elevate success together. SmartStop Self Storage, a California company with nearly 200 properties and over 15 million square feet of rentable storage in the US and Canada, is committed to positively impacting the communities we serve on the national and local level. By aligning our core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey with local initiatives focused on education, health, and social welfare, we all elevate together. Through financial and strategic partnerships with nonprofits and prestigious organizations such as Cloudcast Media, Arrow McLaren IndyCar, Breast Cancer Research Foundation, Wounded Warrior Project, USC Athletics, the Brampton Steelheads, MMA fighters and boxers, and other unique athletes, we aim to foster a sense of unity and pride within the communities we serve, creating a shared identity and generating a positive atmosphere. To learn more about our core values, our locations, and career opportunities, please visit us at smartstopselfstorage.com. SmartStop, elevating success together.
So your mentor that you think about all the time, do you oftentimes think of what would he do in this situation or that situation?
Gosh, so many times.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the fact that he's a judge, I think, is probably a very high strategy sort of thought that you're having.
He always thought in the most philosophical, broad way, but then knew how to bring that philosophical, broad way of thinking down into practical steps. And he's the one who really taught me not to be distracted by negativity around me, or by people saying you can't do something, or by people competing with you and lying about you, or trying to sully your reputation in some way. And he's the one who just really taught me to stay focused. And I think that is something that is a real learned skill. Because, you know, as women, we're human too, right? Yeah. And it does hurt when people say negative things about you, and it's instinctual to want to defend yourself. But that's just a fight that no one wins. Right. And it's so important to stay above that fray and not allow yourself to be distracted.
So now that you brought this up, it makes me think about Mean Girls. What are your thoughts about Mean Girls? Have you experienced them a lot? Or?
Yes. I've found in my career there's very few women that are truly, genuinely happy for other women who are more successful than they are. That is just the reality. And I don't know it's necessarily a female thing. I think that's just life. It's really hard to find people who are genuinely happy for someone who's doing better than they are doing. And
but it's all relative, isn't it? I mean, you know, someone might, I always tell people, there's always going to be women that, and I tell my daughter this, there's always going to be someone that's prettier, smarter, more well-established, dresses better, whatever. We all have something special that we bring to the table.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be a competitive, because we all rise together. It really is important to elevate women. This is why my daughter and I actually started the podcast, because I've always felt that there are some women that, like you said, they can't be happy for any other person that, and maybe it's not just unique to women, but I find that sometimes women are more vicious about it.
I think that's true. And what I learned from a really young age that my parents really drilled into me was to always evaluate yourself only with reference to yourself. Yeah. And not to an outside person. So when one of my friends was promoted to a chief marketing officer position in a large company, I was more excited for her than if it had happened to me, because I knew how much that meant to her. I knew what she sacrificed and how she had a vision for the company. And I was so excited for her. And I think when you find those people who truly just are content with themselves, they will be your cheerleaders. And the mean girls, I just stay away from it.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, and it's just life, and it's just navigating life, and not to take it personally, because no matter who was standing in your place, it would be the same reaction.
I agree with
and
that,
just
yeah.
allow it to be noise. And that's what, going back to what Judge Moon taught me, there's a lot of noise in life, and if you listen to the noise, you'll miss the symphony.
I love that too. You have a lot of really good sayings. I actually wrote that one down. I love it so much. I need to use it. You know, I've been on panels and whatnot, and I've brought up Mean Girls, and men actually, I don't know if it's because they do it differently, but men could also be like that. But I feel that women that are mean girls, they kind of really affect everyone around them.
Oh,
and it creates this
absolutely.
whole culture where it becomes a poisonous, sort of toxic situation.
100%. I completely agree. And I think it's because women by nature, we're relators. We like relationship. Our families are very important to us,
Yeah.
and our relationships are really important to us. And so when they have someone they don't like, they want a group to not like them. They're not content with their own vitriol. They want the vitriol of the masses. And so they
That's a
rally
good
the
way to put it.
troops. And so so that's why I think it becomes so vicious, because they're not content just to take you down alone. They want the crowd to take you down. And so it's really interesting, and it can get pretty rough. It can get very rough. I grew up in the Midwest where people are kind by nature. And so I was really surprised by some of the things I encountered when I first moved here, because culturally it's very different. And people who say, oh, America's all the same, it's not. There's such a different culture from region to region when you really live in and experience the culture. And so it's really interesting to see some of the differences.
Well, that's a terrible thing, though. I mean, really, it's very toxic. For sure.
It's very toxic. And I think part of in California, people move around so much. And in the Midwest, you stay in the same community. So if you're a mean person in the Midwest, you'll kind of be run out of your little community. But here people move around so much. And
Yeah.
I think now with social media,
Oh,
there's less
social
accountability for being mean. And so I'm sure it's different in the Midwest now than it was 40 years ago. But I just see transiency leads to meanness.
Well, and back to social media for a second. I think social media is that angry crowd mob mentality. Oftentimes, if someone does something that's toxic on social media, they're almost championed for it sometimes. It's terrible.
Absolutely.
I can't stand it.
Rewarding bad behavior. And I talked to my daughters a lot about this when they were growing up, because I think there was a confusion that, if you just spew vitriol and hatred on social media, you're standing up for yourself and you're a strong woman. No, you're a woman who entirely lacks self-control and perspective. And so I don't even want you following certain popular people who, can be very toxic. I really wanted them to limit what they were encountering, because why in the world would you fill your good life with hatred and
It
anger?
doesn't affect other people as much as it actually affects you.
Exactly.
So let's talk about lessons learned that you'd like to share with some of our listeners today.
So I think the biggest lesson learned for me that I wish I had learned a little bit younger was just to really figure out who you are and what's important to you, and then align your life with that. And don't, as women, we do like to please parents or please our mentors, but really figure out what's important to you and just make it happen and take the steps, and don't be distracted.
That's good advice. I mean, I think it's very valuable. So what do you think led you, well, I think it actually probably started with your whole Perry Mason thing.
9 years old.
Yeah. What are you most passionate about with your career?
I'm really passionate about helping people after someone passes away in their family.
Well, it's a tough time for
It's
them
a
too.
really tough time, and I've learned a lot about grief, helping literally hundreds of people through grief, and it's so fulfilling to me to be useful and helpful, and to be able to alleviate some of the stress, and to connect people with other people who have gone through grief, so they
Right.
can help one another, and it's very rewarding. It's not just a job. It's a great way to be of service and to be helpful.
Well, that's an interesting perspective because I don't know that everyone that is in the law profession actually looks at it like that. I mean, they do. And, kind of back to, I think, what you were talking about earlier, and that is why you do what you do, why you switch from the corporate to the working for yourself. I mean, a lot of the why, and because it changed why you were doing it, I think.
It did. It did. And it gave me the freedom I can't tell you how many memorial services I've helped plan because that really stresses people out. And and I've planned a lot of large events. I've sat on boards and chaired galas, and I can do that very easily. And obviously I'm not billing them my attorney rate. I just do it for free because I know it's something I can do quickly, and that will take a huge stress off of people. And I love feeling useful like that and being able to give back. So.
And you had mentioned that you're president of the Bar Association?
Yes, of the North County Bar Association.
And so what do you do in that capacity?
So that is just a great, the North County Bar Association is based in Vista and covers all of North County, San Diego. And so it's just been a wonderful experience. It's a great group of attorneys. And my goal as president was to get the association right-sized and recovered from COVID and financially secure. And I think we've achieved that. And I'm just so excited about that because the future of the organization depends on good fiscal management. But our primary objective is to bring lawyers together and provide opportunities for them to talk to one another. And going back to what you said before about the mean girls, if you know someone, you will be nicer to them.
Yeah,
and
true.
so we are developing lots of ways to get the attorneys together. We have meetup groups for attorneys based on just personal interests. We have dinner meetings with the judges and the lawyers, and it's just a great opportunity for us all to get to know each other. And then when a conflict arises, we can just call each other up and say, hey, how do we help our clients solve this? And the goal isn't to escalate the conflict, it's to figure out a way to solve it.
Well, I think bouncing things off of other people too
Yes.
is always helpful because, have you experienced this? Because I'm sure new things are happening all the time.
All the time, and that's a real advantage because so many of the firms in North County are smaller firms. So if you have something outside of your practice area, if you come to our meetings, you'll know someone you can reach out to.
Right, and having those boutique services, I think. I mean, I had no idea that an attorney could actually help you with memorial services and all of that. I mean, that would never even actually occur to me. I find that very interesting.
That's funny.
I had no idea.
I always ask my clients what is stressing you the most right now and what's keeping you awake at night. And if we can take anything off that list, we do. And quite frankly, almost every time it's the memorial service.
Yeah,
so it's
definitely.
a huge event, and it makes the death real. And that's what's hard about it, more than the logistical planning.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Well, and then what do I even do next? I think a lot of people are not sure of that.
Right.
Last year, my mom had a stroke at Christmas time, and she was like, okay, so then you have to do this, and this is where my trust is. And I was like, I don't even want to think about that. And so I get how people, it's very stressful. It's very
really
stressful. And even if there's just an illness in the family, you have to start thinking about these things because they do become real.
They become very real. And the more prepared you are, the less trauma will be involved. It will always be difficult.
Yeah.
But chaos induces trauma. So people have said to me, I don't want to do my estate planning because then I'm afraid I'm going to get hit by a bus and die. It's like just because you're prepared doesn't mean you will pass away. And in 30 years, I've never had that happen. Never had someone sign and then leave and die. But if you aren't prepared, it injects an element of chaos into an already difficult difficult situation.
Yes.
And that's what we try to avoid, is working with our clients to make sure that everything that can be done ahead of time is done. So we're all going to pass away. No one gets out alive, right? And so we just want to minimize the trauma that's associated with the passing.
And you had mentioned earlier that probate takes 1 to 2 years. What does the time frame of a trust, what does that shave it down to?
A trust administration will take, if your estate is below the exemption, below $26 million for a married couple, roughly, that administration will still take probably a year, but it's entirely private, and your trustee is in control, and you have access to all the assets during that process. But the creditor's claim statute in California is 1 year, where creditors can come and make claims against the decedent's estate. So we usually wait for that to expire before everything's distributed, but along the way, the trustee is able to make interim distributions.
Okay, so if your kids inherit the house, they don't have to pay the property taxes. The estate could probably pay those.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, it's under management.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So what's next for you? What's on your list of to-dos? It sounds like you're doing already a lot, but not that I want to throw anything more on you, but just with that.
So my list of to-dos right now is I am actively acquiring additional practices and growing my practice. My daughter will be going to law school soon, and she is working as a paralegal now, and so we're actively growing the practice, and I can't wait for the next stage when my term ends as president. I'm really looking at various charities to get back involved with, because I've always sat on charitable boards, but I took a pause while I was president of the bar because I really wanted to devote a lot of time to that. So I'll get back involved in charitable endeavors. I love anything to do with music or children, so really excited about getting back into that arena.
Well, I love your little let your good work silence your critics. That's my takeaway from today.
Thank you.
I love that saying. You really do have some good ones. So thank you so much for joining us today. Really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better. And I hope you can inspire our listeners, because I think you're very inspiring.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learn how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
The incredible curated SheEO conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate and a company that upholds its core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey. To learn more about SmartStop, please visit smartstopselfstorage.com.
Cloudcast Media.